Hey everyone, Daniela here with Addo Aesthetics, and thank you so much for joining us for your weekly dose of inspiration, education, and encouragement. So this week I have a really great topic for the solo estheticians and spa owners out there. Uh, it is all about developing your own product line. And should we develop our own product line or should we go private label if we're looking for ways to leverage our business and make more money so that we are not working, dollars for hours, having to be in the treatment room to make sure that your business is going. So I asked Gregory Dylan of Gregory Dylan Beauty, located in West Hollywood, to join us today. You guys may also know him from the Boy Meets Beauty YouTube channel. But Gregory works as a solo esthetician, and he has gone down the path of developing his own product line where working with a lab. He has a lot of experience to share in the pros and cons of that, and also, what makes sense if you wanted to go private label versus starting your own product line development. So, Gregory, thanks so much for being here.
Hi, Danielle. Great to be here as always. Wonderful to see you.
So tell me a little bit about your journey. What made you decide as a solo esthetician, hey, I want to start my own product line? And how did you decide I want to do it in a lab versus working with some of these other private label companies that are out there?
So, I think all of us probably, as soon as we get into school, are like, I want my own skincare line. Ever since I was like 18 years old, that eye on the prize. So obviously when I started the business, I was like, this is the perfect time to actually explore that. I had dabbled into looking into private label, and this is why this is such a great discussion. A little bit of my ego was like, nope, 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 it's got to be all mine. And
Mm-hmm.
I looked into working with a laboratory. Now, just to tell you right from the get-go, it took me 2 years to find a laboratory that would work with me in smaller quantities. There's a huge challenge with that because of the buy-in for the research, and then
Mm-hmm.
the buy-in for the quantities that you have to
Right.
do. So I still ended up going down that route of working with a lab. I just felt personally at that point that I wanted to do something that was really conceptually all mine. But of course, that is, like we said before, it's a long road, and it just brings up for discussion, is it the best choice for the solo esthetician? It's a lot of time, it's a lot of money, and you have to realize that there's so much more than that simple component of, I would love to develop the perfect pigmentation serum. And, with a cleanser and cream, it's just so far past that. So, that's why, to be honest with you, and then with everybody, I've actually now kind of put the brakes on this whole process after working on it for 3 years,
Oh my gosh.
because it was a learning process. And I got
Mm-hmm.
to the point where I was like, maybe this isn't my best use of money and time, and maybe I need to refocus where everything is.
So when you were starting, and when you were going through that, like, hey, I want to develop my own product line, you mentioned a little bit about your ego, but regarding the business plan, was it your intention to only distribute through your practice, or were you planning on wholesaling and trying to get into other spas as well to have an additional source of revenue?
The concept was definitely to start at grassroots, start at the studio, and then, kind of reach out to former contacts, because as a lot of you know, in my former life, I was in corporate beauty, so I do have those contacts for, different retailers and such. So there definitely was the 5-year plan. You
Mm-hmm.
can't just, and this is another thing, you can't just say, here's my product.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do with it? You have to have a whole entire marketing plan and a strategy in place to actually develop this product and to introduce it into retail sales. Of course, you
Which
can
is
just sell.
more than a full-time job.
It's literally like another whole job, to the point where it's like, how many hats can I wear working
Right.
for itself. But of course, down the line, that's such an amazing opportunity to grow your product and to you can do something just in your individual space with your clients. But the question is that gets a little tricky is for all of those of us who have product lines that we love and have raved about for so long. Now all of a sudden we're bringing in another product line and we're like, no, we like this one more because it's ours.
Yeah.
You have to consider what kind of message that's sending to your client. And for that reason, I was actually going product by product. I wasn't coming out with a full product line. I was rolling out individual one by one, because to roll out a whole entire product line on your own, it's just so much time and money that for one person, it's not super feasible to really do it right, especially when you're doing everything from sourcing packaging, designing labels, researching, what has to be on that label and what size of font and the information that's required by law. And
it's crazy. So when I've worked with a couple of the physician dispense brands on product launches, and it takes, for these big global companies, it typically takes about 18 months from conception to, launch. And that's 18 months with teams and teams of people going through everything and having systems in place and understanding their brand already and development and all of that. So for one person, or even a small team of people, if you're a spa owner and looking into something like this, it's a huge undertaking of time, and let alone money. I'm sure it takes quite a bit of investment capital even to work with these labs to get them started, on like, hey, what do I want to develop and how do I go from here?
Oh my gosh, the whole entire thing that I found in the beginning, and this is why it took me 2 years to find any labs that would work with me, here was the situation. Oh no, we have really low minimums, as low as, a few hundred units. But the R&D fee is $15,000.
Wow.
Or it would be reversed. Here, oh no, our R&D fee is $500, but our minimum requirements are 5,000 pieces. So it's just like, whoa.
Yeah.
So time and money is just, and even when I found that smaller laboratory that was willing to work with me, here was the big eye-opener. And all of us are so passionate about what we do. We are so excited about our new trends and servicing our clients and new products. And we are our top priorities. When you are a solo esthetician with a small budget developing a product line, you are no one's priority, because
Right.
you're looking to spend this much on R&D and to put out this many products. And
Yeah.
that was something that was tricky too, because you're not going to get everything back the quickest. To go back and forth and get my serum just where I wanted it to be was another year of
Wow.
emails, phone calls, getting a lab sample, testing it out for a month, giving it to friends to test, getting down the feedback, talking to the guy in the lab, making sure he understood what I was saying, because we're also specific in what we want, and then having them go back to the drawing board, tweak it, send it back, testing it a year. You're putting your name on this. You don't just want to take XYZ and, okay, everyone's like, why are you being so picky? And I'm like, why am I being so picky? It's my name. It's my reputation. This can't just be some cookie cutter product. So again, the time situation, and every time you tweak, you get a certain number of edits, and then if you want to go past that, you have to reach in your pocket.
So
and edit it again.
This learning experience that you've had, kind of going through the lab, it's led you, as you said, to kind of get to the point where you're very much considering going down the private label route rather than this lab. But if you're, is there a conflict of interest that you're finding, because you said you have to be so detailed. This is your name. You're still putting your name on these products. So how do you go about then finding the right private label company that you feel comfortable putting your name on the products? Because you can't change it as much. Does that question make sense?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And that's the thing is, private label is like paint by numbers. Pick this formula, pick this color, pick this scent, package, we'll throw your label on it.
Yeah.
Other private label formulas are a little bit more detailed, where they will allow you to kind of tweak that proprietary blend a little bit more than others, so you're not doing paint by numbers skincare. So that way, Gregory out here in West Hollywood has AHA cleanser, and Susie in Maryland has like refining cleanser, and they're the same thing. Nobody wants that. So it's important to find that private label company that gives you that leverage. You have to look at so much. You have to look at how willing they are to let you test products, what the depth of those changes can be, the profit margin, very, very different.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously not as much, especially then if you want to look into wholesaling it. But let's talk about this. There are a gajillion brands that are private label. I don't know if I can say them on here, but
you can.
Let's look at MAC. MAC
Mm-hmm.
makeup started out as a private makeup from Canada. It Cosmetics just sold for $1.8 billion, and I don't think It Cosmetics is all custom formulated. I think that's probably a very well edited private label line. That's what it looks like. So I don't know for sure. So don't quote me on that. But that's what it looks like. But I mean, so there's huge opportunities because, and here's the other thing that us estheticians need to remember, that there is so much more than what the product is inside. This is the marketplace is consumers. Marketplace. You have to market this. So much of what's in beauty now is marketing.
Mm-hmm.
We are more concerned with inside the jar. Clients are more concerned about the outside of the jar. Who's using it? What YouTuber recommended it? They don't have the same integrity of quality that we have because we look at it at a completely different point of view. So sometimes we need to find that happy medium between the two.
So how do you do that? Because that was going to be my next question. How do you find that balance between providing a product with integrity, that you believe in as an expert, as a solo esthetician, you're educated, you've seen so many different types of skin, but how do you balance that with, making sure that you're providing what the clients want? And also, because yes, you're an esthetician, but you're also a business owner, and you have to take into account your overhead, you have to think like an entrepreneur. And at some point, you can't be the only revenue source in your business. At some point you have to have, whether you're bringing in money from product lines, whether you end up, expanding your spa and doing booth rental or whatever it is, so how do you find that balance?
It's funny.
If you even know.
Yeah, this is exactly where I am now. I'm at the point where, okay, I love being busy. Do I want to be down at my studio, this many clients 5 to 7 days a week? No. I'm like,
because
so
it's exhausting, yeah.
It is exhausting. And the thing is, too, when you're a solo esthetician, you're the esthetician, you are IT, you're customer service, you're marketing, you're social media. It is literally a non-stop job. And when you're doing it right, and I know what y'all mean because we're all on Esthetician Connect talking about it all the time, it's overwhelming. It's absolutely overwhelming. So do you want to throw, and this was the whole entire thing, do you want to throw that whole entire development process into this, but you do want to see other ways to make income? So for me, it's kind of like, maybe I need to, instead of adding more onto my plate to get to that point, maybe I need to still add to my plate, but maybe I'm taking a more palatable portion with something like private label, because maybe it's to obviously test it. We know if it's a great product, and then if we feel confident about those tweaks that we make in creating it, making it a little bit more individual and putting our names and packagings and our verbiage on it, and then choosing the right assortment and editing that properly from what they've got, it can be a beautiful line. And then when we're excited about it and love the way it works, that will translate and we'll make that money. But again, like you said, you have to think of a business person, like, what do you want to make per product? If you want to wholesale this, that's minimized. So it's really, I mean, this is like where I had everything down to per ounce per bottle. Oh my gosh, if I sold it wholesale, how many I would have to sell a month? And then if I was, retailing it, what I would sell. Obviously, retailing, we're always going to make more money ourselves. If we put it on our websites, then your website has to have a shopping cart, but then you need to know the tax laws per state. And then you got to think about shipping, then you got to facilitate that process. So it's never just I want a product.
Yeah.
I'm literally adding several jobs to my already, oh my God, how do I do this by myself? Because we are all awesome at what we do. No one else knows it. They all think we just sit there eating bonbons all day until the next appointment calls, and it drives me crazy because we know it's so much more. And we've talked about, we all talked about this, like, that six-figure, everybody wants to be the six-figure esthetician. It's totally possible,
right.
But this is the other way. But once you get to that point, you now want to be 25, 50 grand more than that.
Mm-hmm.
And product and employees and outsourcing are other ways to get that. When I really started to focus more on retail, probably in like 2.5 years in, got really more retail focused. The increases that I saw in my business were amazing. I mean, and now my retail and what they come back for and replenish, it's like the loyalty is there because they can't get it anywhere else. I love the product line. And again, that's what I was struggling with, is like, how am I now going to transition these people off of what I've had them on for so long into something just because it's my name? So and that was why I was going product by product. So instead of saying, here's a whole assortment of things with my name on it that I think you're going to love, here's my product.
Easing them into it.
Yeah, spoon feeding it, And obviously with integrity, because we believe about the product. And it's very important. If you're in there just to make a buck, it's going to backfire. There's got to be integrity and, it has to fit with your concept and you have to love it. Because otherwise, eventually, it's going to all just start to dwindle apart if you don't really love it, and if people can see through the fact that you're just doing it to move dollars.
Yeah, and I think that so there's a couple things that you said that I want to just really emphasize because I believe in so much, is that the importance of selling retail, in a profitable business. I think that that's huge. I see that in med spas across the country. So when I work with med spas and derm offices, for those companies to be profitable, and the same thing translates down to if you're a solo esthetician, if you're a spa owner, whatever size of your business that you have, you still have to sell retail to be profitable. But specifically with the med spas, that's one of their primary sources of profit, because lasers, employees, all of insurance, liability, all of these different things are so expensive that they're
ridiculously expensive.
They're making a huge amount of their profit through retail sales. And so we, as estheticians, whatever business you're in, if you're a solo esthetician or spa owner, you need to take that lesson and say, how can I capitalize on this and think like a business, even if I'm the director of marketing and I'm the, lead esthetician and I'm the office manager and I wear all these different hats, you still you can play those roles in a smart way, just like a big company does, and the big company does it through retail sales. And when it comes to that selling with integrity, I think that, yes, you absolutely have to love the product, but when you sell through education, I love this product because, and you're letting your clients know the reasons. If you choose a product line with integrity that you do love and it has those great ingredients, it's a piece of cake to sell it. Piece of cake.
Oh, it totally is. And my thing was, when it's a product line you love and believe in, it translates so much more. Without going off on a tangent, because this is probably a whole other topic, is that the esthetician being afraid to sell.
Yes.
And that's what my background in corporate was, in education and training. And this was a huge challenge that spa directors would come to me and say, my estheticians are afraid to sell. So you have to remove that fear. And without going into a whole education on how to sell, I'll give this one little quote that years ago when I worked for Yves Saint Laurent, my French trainer Bonnie would say to me, Gregory, it's not your budget. Stop thinking about your budget.
Yep.
I know that you're thinking that they just spent $200 on a treatment, and you would be like, oh my God, I don't really want to spend another $100, $150 on product. That's your budget. Stop projecting your wallet on other people.
I say the same. I say, you're not your patient's accountant. You're not their financial advisor. You are their skincare specialist. And unless you recommend, what is actually going to be the best for them and not think about the price, you're not serving your patient fully. So, that's how we have to switch our mindset. Yeah, that is a whole nother topic. But
Yeah, it is, and I'd love to talk with you about that because that was one of the big things that I focused on when I was doing training and education, and the techniques that I still use nowadays. But I have to tell you, like, I saw a huge upturn in my business, and it makes me so happy when I get those text messages. Oh, I want to book my next appointment, and by the way, I need this, this, and this.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
and to just hear back that your clients say, I love Modern Mask by Dermaware. That is my favorite new product. They're excited about it. It's working. It's insurance.
It's working.
It's maintaining what they invested in by coming to see you.
Absolutely. Okay, so before we go, I have one kind of multi-part question. So I want you to offer advice to the estheticians out there. What is the best advice you can give for someone who is looking to go actually develop their entire own product line with a lab, and someone who is looking to go private label? A piece of advice for each of those estheticians, and then also what you think would be the best tip on how to move forward, how to get started, because I think the first step is always the hardest step.
The one thing that I would say to do is if you're trying to make that decision, you really need to get technical. Get a spreadsheet, come up with a budget for your personal development, figure out where you want your price point to be, what you want to make on a retail sale, what you want to make on wholesaling, and then compare it to a couple of different private labels that you've looked at. You really need to get like old school mathematics on this, because that's the only way it's going to help you to make your decisions, because they're hugely different. But they may be so different, but then you need to look at the money that's going into the development versus the ease of just, I'll order these, bam, they're here, it's ready to go. And the best way to start that is to I know none of us do this anymore, get on the phone. Get on the phone, call the lab, talk to the people. What quantities do you work in? What's your buy-in? Do I own the formula? Do you own the formula? Talk to the private label, find out how far are you going in to tweak it, to personalize it? What are your options? And this is multiple phone calls. These are phone calls that I made for 2 years. And you got to be ready to take that time and get that nitty gritty with it, and be ready to see the disappointment in the fact that this is unattainable for me with this person, this person, this person, and finally, oh my God, I hate the margins on this. These people don't let me customize enough. Wait, here's one. So it really is just constantly, compare, contrast, research, notes.
So commit to the process.
And lots of notes.
Commit to the process.
And understand that it's going to, and understand that it is going to be lengthy and super frustrating, because you're going to feel like, oh my God, how does anyone else do this? Other people who are telling you that they did it like that literally just went, that works for me, I'll put a sticker on it. That's not how I'm going to do things. And that's not how you should. You should really, like you said, commit and be ready to make it because when you're done, it's a very proud moment that you're like, I can't, and you talk about it. This took me years to develop, and it's going to be amazing.
It becomes part of your story. And so what advice would you give to them, to the estheticians, about how do they even go about finding these labs and private label companies in the first place? Is it a simple Google search, or
Googling, and then honestly, in a lot of the magazines, if you like ASCP features the magazine that they put out features a lot of the private label brands to work with. Not so much. It's easier to find the private label brands. It's a little bit of a hunt to find the laboratories. That was that's a whole Google situation. Get onto chat boards, email people, email on LinkedIn, hey, did you do that? Do you have any labs you'd recommend? So really, really start to reach out, network. It's literally research.
All right. Well, perfect. That was a lot of information. I hope that all of the estheticians that are watching, that are interested in private label or actually starting your own product line with a lab, got a little more insight onto what it actually takes to make that happen. So if you want to keep the conversation going, head on over to the Estheticians Connect Facebook group. Gregory's in there. I'm in there. We can keep chatting about this and answering questions, and I'm sure a lot of you have some other great insight to spread. So until next time, keep making the world a more beautiful place inside and out.